Hey, this is Dwight Grant with Forward One Business Coaching, and I want to thank you for joining me on this pre-recorded webinar on making this next year the best yet. Since it'll just be the two of us today, we're going to jump right in, but to get the most out of our session together, let me go over just a few things. First, if you turn off your phone and eliminate distractions, this is going to be a working session. So you'll need to be able to concentrate. So if you can do that, that would be great. Grab a drink, coffee, water, soda, whatever it is. Hopefully you have allocated at least an hour. When I do these sessions, my wife and I have been doing this for years. I usually try to allocate a minimum of 2 hours, and sometimes we'll schedule a whole afternoon. And we've even been known to take a weekend. Definitely for the next hour, let's make sure that you're able to concentrate, get pen and paper. You should have been able to print out the guide. There's a planning guide. If you didn't get it, you can go to the website, forwardone.net, go all the way down to the footer, and there should be a little link down there for best year yet planning guide. Print it out, come back, and we'll pick up from there. So today, we're not just going to talk about business, because I am sure if you are a business leader, whether you're a leader in a nonprofit, for-profit, large, small, business is a big part of your life. And so, a lot of coaches talk about, work-life balance. I think today we're going to be talking about life, just life, and whether it's perfectly balanced or not depends upon what you're trying to accomplish. So we're going to look at a number of different things, but I just want to make sure that you end up getting having the best year yet. And it won't happen without action, so you're going to need to be intentional. So by the end of this session, you should have a good idea of where you are today. So where are you now? Where do you want to be? And then what do you need to do to make this your best year yet? So here's what we're going to be covering today. The number one place you should start when it comes to planning. We're going to look at 3 strategies that will separate the top 5% of all leaders and how you can implement these this next year. We're going to look at some case examples, at least a couple, on how other organizations have achieved outstanding results through planning. We're going to talk about ways to keep motivated throughout the year and how to get leverage in your organization. So I want to take a minute to talk about what I do. My job as a project catalyst and consult coach is to help leaders navigate change. Now, I've been doing that for over 30 years, whether in the nonprofit sector or with privately owned small businesses. I've started and grown and sold a small business of my own. I've been involved with a number of startups. And what I've discovered over the years is that all leaders are on a journey. Now, if they stick with it long enough, if they continue to develop their team, it's possible they could encounter all 5 stages along the way. So to help leaders navigate change, we start by identifying where they are on the journey. So maybe they are just starting out as a dreamer, but if all you do is dream, then it just stays, that becomes a pipe dream and you never go anywhere. So obviously dreaming is important to have that vision, but then you got to get to startup. And so you could be in the launch, you could be past the first couple 2 to 3 years, stabilized. You could be in a high growth mode, or you could just be really, really comfortable making lots of money with your team doing all the work and really in a nice position. The thing is, even when you do reach maturity, we don't live forever. So a lot of times we may be looking at a takeout, maybe selling the business, or transitioning, or if you're staying with the business, trying to stay on top of market trends and changes and all of that can get you to starting back on a new product line, dreaming of new things that you could potentially offer. So once we understand where we are, then we drill into the top 3 to 5 constraints. I call these energy leeches and things that are preventing them from getting to the next level. So sometimes we'll focus on strategy development. Other times we'll be looking at marketing, or it could be that we drill into finance in order to improve cash flow or net revenue. And then once those are on track, then we develop the staff, work with creating a high-performing team to make sure that they can essentially be self-sustaining and ensure that everything is optimized from an operational perspective. So ultimately, the idea is that the team will allow the business leader or the owner the freedom to spend more time on the things that they value and the most, and it will have the greatest impact. And so those things that would be most meaningful in the long run. So that's just a bit about what I do. I did want to give credit to Rohan and Taki from Australia. They developed a lot of the slides and have been generous and let me take those and tweak them, and then of course Simon has been a great source of encouragement. Probably would not have put this together without him. So thank you guys. Appreciate you and what you've allowed me to be able to do here. So the $1 million question: will you make the most of your year? So the first thing that we're going to look at is planning. And so let me give you a definition. Planning is bringing the future into the present so that you can work on it right now. Planning is bringing the future into the present so that you can work on it right now. I like this definition because we can't change the past and we can't change the future. But what we can do is change what we're working on right now so that it affects the future. Now, in Proverbs, an ancient book of wisdom, it says that a man makes his plans, but that God directs his steps. So I believe that we are responsible to make the best plans possible, but that we need to understand that ultimately we don't control the future. It's in the hand of providence. Now, give you an example. Back in 2008, I thought I was brilliant. I had a wonderful plan. I was completely on track to hitting my objectives. Great executive level position in a large nonprofit, growing my seasonal adventure business, and our family was doing that together. And I was getting my doctorate in business administration, and everything changed once the recession hit back in 2000. What was it, 2008, 2009, 2010. Those were crazy, crazy years. And as a result, my wife and I had to pivot. We had to make new plans. That ended up taking us on a 3-year adventure. We went out to Pennsylvania. So from Colorado to Pennsylvania, then over to Montana, and then back to Colorado. And now things are going better than ever. And we've really been blessed. So don't be afraid of making plans that may not go exactly right, may not be anything close to what you thought they were going to be. It's okay. You can modify the plans along the way. I give you permission. So let's jump into, we're going to talk about 3 keys. We're going to look at 8 areas of focus, and then the objective is for you to get one plan that you will be able to work over the next year. So if we were to meet in the street in 12 months' time, what would you need to have done, and who would you need to have become to be the person I would be delighted to meet? What would you need to have done, and who would you need to have become to be the person I would be delighted to meet? So, what would you be happier? Would you be more giving? Would you be more loving? Would you have made more profit? What are some things? And so this is a part where if you've got your pen or whatever you're using to take notes, if you've got your guide printed out, it's a great opportunity to just use that to jot notes down. I think there's quite a few pages there that you can use on that. So what would you need to have become to be the person I would be delighted to meet? So here's the thing. If you can clarify this, if you can get that kind of clarity, it's going to get you ahead of 94% of other leaders. Here's the thing. Think big, right? Most leaders have a lot of ideas, lots of things floating around their head all the time. They don't write it down. They never get specific. Now, when I was talking with my wife about this, we've done planning for a lot of years, and so we're using this format. And I encourage her in this way. Every year she does a Thanksgiving or Christmas letter, and so I rephrased it. What would you like next year's Christmas letter to say? Interesting. Let's go ahead and think about what it is we want to accomplish this year, and go ahead and write the Christmas letter, like right now, for next year. Okay, so same same kind of thing. So if you want to pause, play around with that for a bit, then you can come back. That would be great. Okay, so we're back. Let's get going. The number one place to start. So where do we want to start? Well, we want to get to the future. It helps to understand where we are today. So I want you to think about last year. Go ahead and list 3 things that went well, and then 3 things that did not go so well. And go ahead, jot those down in the workbook. It could be a number of, well, it could be anything. Well, like it could be business related. It could be, maybe it's family related, or whatever the situation was. You had a good year with income. Maybe sales were up, or maybe, I don't know, you lost an account, or implementation didn't go so well. Whatever it might be, go ahead and write those things down. And then what could have been better on those things that didn't go so well? What do you think would have made it better? What would be the difference? Okay, go ahead, take a couple minutes, write those down, and come on back. So we're going to talk about 3 keys. The first one is to get your direction set first. To get to where we want to go, we need to know where that is. So just think of, if I use my GPS or whatever, I go in and Google says, okay, where are you? Okay, starting location. Well, if I never say where I want to go, what's going to happen? Nothing. I'll just sit there. Or I could just start driving, and then I would end up in some random place. If I was driving east, maybe I'd end up in Kansas. I don't know. But the thing is, you're not going to end up really any closer to your destination because you haven't picked one. So super important to have a really clear idea of where you want to be. Part of, as we think about the next year, I don't know if you ever did this, but when I was a little kid, I'd run around with my dad's shoes on. Well, hey, look at me! And they were floppy, just like It's just like these, they don't fit at all. And so, a question that I have is, would you be brave enough to fill the shoes that are needed in order to reach the level of success that you want to achieve? Okay, when uh, so I was attending the Global Leadership Summit a while back, and I found out from that the average leader has between 3 to 4 blind spots. These are potential constraints that prevent them from becoming their very best. So, are you willing to find out what those blind spots are and make the changes necessary to overcome them? Hmm. Have clarity of who you need to be. So this was interesting because one time, this was years ago, but this is an example where a staff member, when I was talking to me, said, "Well, you don't care about your staff," and I was taken aback. I was like, "Yes, I do." Well, I didn't tell him that, but I was thinking it to myself. It bothered me. What? All I do for my staff. He's saying I don't care about. So anyway, I got back with him and talked to him and said, why do you say I don't care about the staff? And he said, well, when you walk by me, you don't smile. I don't. You don't say hi. And I'm like, oh my goodness, he's probably right. That's true. In fact, I don't even notice like anybody is in existence. I'm going from one meeting to the next, and I'm concentrating. I'm working on, okay, what about this? What about that? I'll bet you I probably passed lots of people that I never even noticed. And so that was a huge blind spot. I had to change and make an effort to smile, to say hi, check in with the staff. Well, I mean, I thought I was doing pretty good actually, but obviously I wasn't, at least not for this individual. And so what happened as a result of that is I talked with my leadership team, and we've came up with some ways for me to be able to improve. And what happened is my leadership improved, staff engagement increased as a result. So with this, what character do you need to develop? What beliefs need to change? What fears do you need to overcome? What will you learn or teach yourself? Okay, so this isn't just, planning isn't just about, what are the items that your business needs to do. I think that this whole idea of character development can be huge. All right, let's see. The next thing is work your plan. Plans are great, but how many of us never pick them up and follow them? Well, then we complain, that didn't work. That planning stuff doesn't work. Come on, you can't, you can't put the plan on a shelf. I was working with a board, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we got a strategic plan." They hadn't looked at it in 3 years. So yeah, it's not going to do a whole lot of good if it's just sitting there on a shelf. So you want to try to get that so it's not like a 50-page or 250-page document. You get it on one page, so that you can consistently go back to the plan. Okay, is it helping you get where you want to go? Okay, so one-page strategic plan, then create a 90-day, and then update it every 90 days. And so if you do that over the course of the year, amazing where you can end up at the end of the year. So feel free to revise, recalibrate, relaunch as needed. So, destination first. We talked about the GPS with no destination, and just another little example. If you remember Alice in Wonderland, and Alice asked the Mad Hatter, "Hey, which way should I go?" And he replied, "Where do you want to go?" She replies, "Well, it doesn't so much matter." And so he replied, "Well, it doesn't so much matter which way you go. So obviously, if you do not have a focus, it doesn't matter where you end up, then you're going to be pulled by whatever force or current happens to be the strongest. Okay, so if you just want to be, I don't know, I guess like a jellyfish and just sort of be, move with the current, yeah, no problem. And here's the thing: a lot of people, they're just plain afraid. They're afraid of failure. They're afraid of not getting there. And I know that that is one of the reasons why people, they don't want to make plans. They don't want to be disappointed. Okay, so I get that, but you just you got to be willing to get past that. Dream big, put some things together, and go for it. Okay, so I'm gonna want to talk about a few foundations as you plan for the year. The first thing is this wheel of life. Now, this is intended to demonstrate that life is more than just business or job or a career. So I want you to use, I think there's some space on page 5 or 6, maybe, where you can write some notes, but you can put the keywords for each area. It's intended to just stimulate your thinking. What would you like to do in each of these areas? Now, let me just tell you that I typically change romance. I put marriage. So I'm married. So been married 35 years, so I want to work on my marriage, and yes, romance is part of that. I will personal growth. I put spiritual growth because I feel like that's where I'm going to get the most personal growth is if I am growing in my relationship with Jesus Christ. Then I feel like, hey, I'm making progress. So what yeah, change these to whatever category, like whatever you want these to be. This is just a representation of wheel of life on what are all the things that you could potentially be interested in thinking about for the next year. Now, I want you to look forward and think about what would it look like in 3 years if I walked up and started talking to you. What would you tell me? Let's say we, you were to say, "Oh, Dwight, thank you so much for that planning session." Fill in the blank. What happened over the last 3 years? Tell me exactly the way you want it. What did you complete? I mean, maybe you finished your PhD, you built a new house, you went on a 2-week cruise, you had a family reunion. So, okay, so what are the things that you would have accomplished in 3 years? Now, if we were to do the same thing and it was a year from now, okay, what are the things that would go in that you could do over the next year? All right, and then 6 months. What does it look like if we talk in 6 months? What will you have accomplished? Okay, you can go ahead and pause if you want to. If you want to take a little more time on this, great. Pause it, come back, and we'll talk some more. Vision. So looking forward, so we're still talking about looking forward, but I do want to talk about vision. It's a picture of the future. It creates passion, emotion. It should be inspirational. Proverbs 29:18 says, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." So create the vision. Okay, and boy, if you're the leader of your organization, maybe you want to share, maybe you've got a personal vision, but maybe you got vision for the organization. Okay, so what is that? Share that with people. So what do you want? What do you need? Again, put that in your workbook. Vision is a really important component of looking forward to what you would like to accomplish. Now I want to talk about two creations. So there's one aspect is the dream. Okay. And so there's one saying that everything that is conceived in a dream without limits can become a reality. Now, what would you dream about? So if there were no constraints, what would you dream about? So I read a book on Elon Musk and found out that he wants to colonize Mars. Wait, did you say Mars? Outer space? As in, wow. Um, hmm. So will he? He's working on it. And so if he can dream about things like that, well, what are we allowed to dream about? Well, you can dream about whatever you want to dream about. Okay. What if you knew you would be successful? What if there was no chance of failure? What would you do? What would you want to do? Okay. So think about what are those dreams? Now, the second creation, so that's the first creation. Second creation is, will it become a reality? So it's the blueprint, it's the plan, it's what you use to actually create the reality. So just a little story, when we moved to Colorado back in 91, we had a nice home. It didn't have a finished basement, but my wife and I, we both agreed, hey, someday it'd be great, when kids get older, maybe we finish that basement. Well, nothing happened. And the next year, you know, someday it'd be nice to, finish the basement. Nothing happened. Then we started spending some time down in the basement and we are talking about it. Hey, maybe we could put the bathroom over here. That could be a bedroom. Maybe the kids could use that. We'll put, we could watch movies over here. Well, next thing you know, my wife's putting it on a piece of scratch paper. She's trying to sketch things out. I start laying tape down to come up with, oh, here's this, and then there'll be a wall here, and trying to visualize what's this thing going to look like. Well, eventually we had a friend help us put those plans together. We formalized it, submitted to the planning department, and then we got the project funded and ended up completing it. And lo and behold, we had our basement. So again, that's just a tiny example of that, what happens when you go from dream, first creation, to actual blueprint and execution, the second creation. And I mean, there's different tools that you can use. So if you want to use a spreadsheet, you want to use, if you like to whiteboard things, or I don't know, there's templates and other things like that. So lots of tools available. All right, the next thing to talk about is, when do you start? Tomorrow, right? That's when we always start our diet. Starting tomorrow. Man, I've got this great cheesecake. Yeah, I'm gonna start tomorrow. No, start now. If you put it off, you're not gonna do it. So how many New Year's resolutions? Yeah, we all make them and we all break them. But you don't have to wait till the new year. You could actually start this right now. I like to do my kind of end of year planning, but there's nothing magic about it. I do it really every quarter. I do sit down and go through a session, and then once a year we have um, a longer session where we'll spend more time, my wife and I, in kind of looking at our personal objectives for the year. But look, you got to start. I mean, there's plenty of things that we end up not achieving, but if we didn't start on something, we wouldn't have anything done by the end of the year. So let's, yeah. All right, I hope so far that you've gotten some value out of this. We are here, how many minutes are we in? Actually, I don't have my timer. Well, in any case, we are about to dive into the next session. So if you need to replenish your water or whatever, go ahead and stop it here. We will be coming back to talk about the 8 focuses, and we'll do a deep dive into each one of those. Okay, so the 8 focuses. We will start with the wheel of life. I remember we talked about that earlier, and I said you can totally change these headings. That's not the important part. The idea here is that this really becomes kind of a graph. So the inside circle here is like, this is like 0, and 10 is supposed to be like the best. So that's like perfection. So if you're perfectly healthy, you're going to give yourself 10, and so you put that, mark that up here. If you're terrible, then, or whatever, you have terrible health and you got lots of problems, then you'd be down here as 1. So the idea is, once you got these headings, you figure out what these should be for your life, then you go in and we're going to go ahead and have these things marked off. So what I would love for you to do is to um, make those determinations on like what you would like this to be, what do you want this to be, and then where are you today, and then where would you like it to be. Okay, so I think in the workbook you've got actually 2 charts, and one of them is where are you today, and then the other one is where do you want to be. And the way I did it is I just did it on one chart. And so I'm going to show you my chart. Yeah, see how it's really messy, and that's okay. You can be messy too. Don't really pay attention to anything on here other than I just wanted to show you. So see here, the physical environment is like, oh, look, you're almost perfect. What in the world? And I should have colored this in on these sides, but whatever. It's your tool. You can do it however you want to. This is just the way I did it. So here you can see that, well, something big happened. Oh, great, we moved into our dream house. So we'd been looking for a year, been working with a realtor trying to find it. Finally, it's like, hey, I think I found a builder that could actually do what you guys want. Do you want to do it? Yeah, let's do it. So we went ahead and we moved in, last year, and it was awesome. I got a great home office. We've got a place for mother-in-law to be, have her own place in the basement. So a lot of really, really cool things. So environment just went way, way high. But then look over here, money. Not kind of really far from what we were kind of hoping. And that's just because when we sold the one house, we sold for less, and there were some other things that came up, extra expenses, and so I was like, oh my goodness, we got to do better. So now when we look at this year, this year is way better. So this one's probably gonna stretch up probably close to here, but then my objectives on this are going up. So I'll probably move this up. This thing will probably be up here by the time we finish this chart for the year. So again, it's however you want to use it, but that's the idea, is to look at the gap and then say, okay, what do we need to do? What do we need to do specifically to close the gap? Let me go back. So let me just show you. We did a 35-year anniversary cruise, and so we were able to, this went way up. Romance, at least during the cruise, went went way up. I mean, yeah. So there were a lot of things this year that when we do the new chart, that's going to be it's going to be much um, higher ratings, and so I think we did really well over the last year. Generations, yeah. So family, what do you want? What do you want to do with your family? Where do you want to invest your time? time with kids, time with you know, community, extended family. Um, but this isn't just about you. It's about you and family. And then what about romance? So yeah, that's a big that's a big deal, because when you're growing a business, it takes a lot of time. And if you've got a day job and then you're trying to run another business, oh my goodness, it's huge. It just consumes so much of your day. I met one couple who told me, well, we just don't have time for dates. Well, it had been 10 years. 10 years? Okay, you're gonna go on a date more often than once every 10 years. Got a person told me, oh yeah, I've got a girlfriend and we get together once a month. Like, once a month? Okay, okay, well, that might be fine if you want to be a friend, like forever. But if you ever want that to become something different, then you might have to make some changes in your time allocation. So yeah, so I think having relationships, having support, it's going to be, yeah, it'll be important that especially if you're married, you want your spouse on board with whatever plans you're putting together. What about personal growth? People say, well, that's all I get paid. That's all they'll pay me. Really? No, that's all they pay you. You only get $20 an hour or 500 a month for your program, or I don't know what it is that you do or what you're selling, or if you're working in an organization, but you can always make yourself more valuable. You can learn new skills, you can diversify, you can um, pour in and develop. Now, I mentioned that I put spiritual growth in here, and so I feel like for me, it's really important that I'm consistently growing in my relationship with Jesus Christ. And so I want to try to um, think about what are the things that I need to be doing to to grow spiritually as well. So that might be something that you care about as well. Feel free to put that in there, or add another category altogether. Recreation. So, so when you look back on your life, okay, so you're 94 years old, are you really going to be like, oh man, I worked my rear off. I worked 24/7 to make the firm profitable. Oh, that was such a good use of my life. Or are you going to want to think about relationships and, experiences that you had. Now, some of those experiences could be highlights, accomplishments, that are related to work. But some things, like this year, we were able to 35 years of marriage, we were able to do a 2-week cruise. And so that was really, really good. When we got married, we set a goal that every 5 years we'd take a fancy vacation, so kind of like a honeymoon kind of vacation. And so yeah, that's what we did this year. And I just got to tell you, it's not a badge of honor to say that, well, I can't afford to take a vacation. When we took vacations, we look, we were minimum wage. It was like, okay, it's called camping. and we had great vacations. It cost hardly anything. Other things cost more, but it all needs to go into your plan. My brother, he ended up, or one of my brothers, ended up getting one of those fractional ownership type things, and because he had it, he had to use it. Otherwise, he would have been uh, not taking advantage of his investment, quote unquote. So, whatever you got to do, you figure it out. Recreation, super important to have some downtime throughout the year. All right, what about physical environment? What do you want your home to be like? warm, hospitable, safe, relaxing? What about work? And do you have a comfortable place, a productive place to work? What do people um, think when they walk through the door, or when they drive in to your camp? If you're a camp director, oh my goodness, what happens when they drive in and they see the dilapidated shed and flower beds overgrown with weeds? I mean, obviously not a good deal. So physical environment, it does make a difference, and I think that it's certainly something to consider, and make your notes on what you would like to experience this next year with physical environment. Um, let's see. So career, where are you in your career? Are you making the progress? Are you new, fresh, growing? Are you a seasoned veteran that's would like to maybe take an intern or develop an apprentice? Are you looking for new ventures? Are you happy where you're at, and you just want to keep things going steady, um, and maybe branch out and do be involved with some other things in life? It yeah, what is important to you in this whole area? And again, if you run a business or you've got your own organization that you're leading, you can cross that out and say, instead of saying career, you can put the name of the business. You can put down, well, hey, what are the things that you feel you need to do there? Or this can be just personal development. Okay, finances. What about money? In the 30s, household savings were 15%. In the 80s, it was 4%. Now, in Western civilization, negative. No savings, lots of debt. So, number one thing I'm going to say to you is I hope you have a balanced budget, okay, in your company, your organization, your home budget. If you are constantly spending more than you're bringing in, it's going on credit, and that can be stressful. So I think live within your means, be okay with that, and it's just, I mean, I I was committed to doing that from the get-go. And when I got married, I was making minimum wage, and we had to figure out, okay, well, how do we do it? Well, we're gonna have a very big house. We're gonna have to walk a lot of places. We're gonna have to do, back then, like, I think it was a 10-cent Thrifty's ice cream for fun. Okay. Well, yeah, so there's a lot of things you can do to not spend money if you don't have money. On the other hand, there's nothing wrong with making some money. Um, One thing is, um, I read this article that giving has actually dropped, that it's dropped in half over the last several years. So there were some tax changes, and I think as a result of that, and maybe it was already a trend that was going down, but the actual number of donations and the amount being donated every year is actually going down. And I think that that seems a little sad to me, because what happens with generosity and giving back to your community, to your church, to whatever passion, whatever thing you have, it can make a huge impact. And so I think maybe shifting the attitude towards money, and so do you have to? You can make more and give more, but do you really have to make more to give? And I think the answer is no. If you want to be generous and you want to start giving, you want to make a difference in your community, then you can do that on a low amount of money or a high amount of money. So, like I said, my wife and I, even though we weren't making much money, we set a base of 10%. We tried to increase that by a percent a year for quite a number of years. We were successful, and then we had some financial setbacks and things. But the point is, we've always been very, very interested in giving. I'm not, no guilt trip here. You do what you want with your finances. This needs to be your plan, but consider where does giving play in this? And no, you don't have to wait until you're multimillionaire to start giving. All right, health. What will your health look like next year? Do you need to get out and jog? Does your diet need to change? How can you be active? What kinds of things are you doing to take care of your body, to keep yourself healthy? Boy, everything seems to be different when you're getting good sleep, when you're got good healthy meals. It seems like even days that would normally be stressful, might not be that stressful. If For me, if I've gone on mountain biking, if I'm out whitewater rafting, I definitely am charged up. I'm ready for more. So watch your health. Put down what you would like to see in the whole area of personal health. And then let's see, now we're going to move into working your plan. So if you've got a destination now, you've considered who you want to become, what changes you want to make, you've looked at the wheel of life, determined what needs to change or improve. Now it's really time to get moving. And again, my chicken scratch. So what I did from there is, so I'd take these things, and then I would actually I did a year at a glance, but from a year at a glance, then it can go to 90-day action plan. And so you begin, what are you going to do week 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth, in order to reach your objective for the next 90 days. So you got your big dreams for 3, 5 years down the road. You've got here's what I want to do in the next 12 months. And then now break that down by quarter, and you're going to start in immediately. All right, 6 keys as we head into another year. And that is, the first thing, 2 success words: yes and no. So for every yes, you should have an accompanying set of no's. Someone said that their lack of success was directly proportionate to the number of yeses given after they said no. So, no one can do everything, but we can do something. We could do any one thing. It's probably realistic, but you can't do everything. I think I mentioned that we had an adventure company. We offered whitewater rafting trips on the Arkansas River. Started that back in 2002, and I was employed at the time, and I wanted my boss's support, which I received. But in order to make this work, I was going to have to be in 2 places at one time, and so my wife and kids would need to run a large part of that business. We had a big decision to make. Because we're trying to think, how can we not burn out like in like a few weeks of doing this. And so we said, well, should we run trips on Sunday or not? And for a seasonal business to not be open on a Sunday, that seems like a suicide track. But I decided that no, we're not going to be open, and we're going to forego the revenue that we would have made had we been open. And here's the thing, the results were better than expected. Once people knew that we were closed on Sundays, they scheduled on Monday they didn't go somewhere else. They once people had come with us, there's like, oh no, we'll come on Saturday. No, we'll come on Monday. So we actually lost very little business. But what was even better than that was that our team stayed fresh the entire season. Compared to other guides, they burned out halfway through the season, but our family had downtime to refresh. So we and our staff, we could attend church, we could be refreshed for the week ahead. And that was the single most important decision we made. Had we done it any other way, it's doubtful we would have made it. I don't know if we'd have made it 2 years. We might not have made it through the first year. But as it turns out, we ran that for 10 years and then sold it once the kids, graduated from college and got married, and we moved on to other things. But that, I think, is an example just of the yes, no. You will have to make your decisions based on what your situation is. Now, this is great. The not to-do list. I love this, but here's the thing. I have real trouble saying no. So even though I said no, I gave you one example, I say yes to way too many things. And so what I have done is I've created what I call the idea parking lot. And so it's my not to-do list. So every time I get this great idea that comes in, it's like, okay, no, not right now. I'm going to put this on my list. And so I just put the link or whatever it is, and I throw it in my Basecamp, and boom, it sits there. And then at the end of the quarter, I'll go take a look at those things. And some things are like, oh, that's a dumb idea. Other things are, man, that was a brilliant idea. It's still a brilliant idea. And maybe I'll bubble it up. And if it actually feeds and works and supports the plan, then boom, I'll bring it in and I'll put it in, a 90-day implementation cycle. But otherwise, I know it's in safekeeping. I'm not going to lose it. It's just going to sit there in the parking lot. And for me, that's made a huge difference, and it's helped me to concentrate on what I'm supposed to be concentrating on at the time. And the other thing is, don't try to be like, multitask. You're gonna do your email. You're gonna be on a webinar. You're gonna be texting. You can do Facebook link. You can't do all. Don't try to do all of it. And boy, if you saw how many tabs I have open, yeah, throughout the day, you'd be like, you hypocrite. No, I mean, I'm the same as everyone. I can get distracted, so I have to discipline myself to not be trying to, be working on a client report or something at the same time. And so I'll close things down and really concentrate on the task at hand. And then keep moving. Just because you take a wrong turn, just because something doesn't work as planned, not a worry. You can pivot. Just keep things moving. Do not stop. Do not stop. Do not give up. Okay. Get into a rhythm and keep going. Persevere. You can do it. And then think generationally. It's not just about you. There's going to be, if you've got family, extended family, you got your kids, your grandkids, whatever your situation might be. But this is, boy, what you're involved with. If you're a great leader, you're gonna have impact well beyond just yourself and this 1 year. This could have many, many years worth of value. So definitely, I think there's a responsibility for us to live life to the fullest and take advantage of what we have been given, the time that we've been given. So leverage. Boy, probably the biggest leverage is to have a clear roadmap of where you're going, and to keep your motivation for the year. You want to plan activities throughout the whole year. So you want to have some milestones and things that you can, so some successes. You want to be able to have some early successes, be able to say, yep, accomplished that, yep, got that done, and know that, okay, and then next month, and then next month, and next, okay, so there's always the next. Ooh, share your plans with others. That's a little scary, but it will definitely make a difference. Manage negative inner thoughts. Okay, don't let you take every thought captive. Do not allow negative thoughts to derail you. Okay, you can do it, and you can make it. So I created a file that I use. Like it's my like, I don't know, my positive compliments file. Okay, so you can call it affirmations, call it whatever you want to. But here's the thing: whenever I'm feeling down, I'll go over to this file and I'll look at it. And the thing is, so every great review that I've gotten, compliments, notes, anything that was, that was kind of meaningful, that was, something that's some an encouraging comment or something like that, I throw it in that file. And that file's gotten kind of thick over the years. And if I'm on the downside, I'm feeling down, bam, go take that file out, start going through it. Whew, that makes a huge difference. So whatever you need to do, if it's, some people have Bible verses that they will turn to, whatever yours is, make sure that you've got some affirmations. And then don't look at this as it's a pipe dream. Okay, this is real. You're putting it down, putting it on paper. You're letting people know you're doing this thing. We're gonna do it. Okay, so don't act as, well, maybe someday, sometime, somewhere. No, we are doing it. And then, like I've mentioned before, be ready. You can veer off track. That's okay. No worries. You can get back on. And where are we? Yes, share your plan. Big deal. Share with your family, friends, your team, your customers, everyone. This is probably the biggest motivational thing. You will not want to go back and tell them that you didn't do it. Once you've told them that you're going to do it, we're going to want to follow through. And this is built-in accountability. So definitely don't keep it a secret. Once you've got this thing nailed down, it could be you and your spouse, or it could be, maybe you and your leadership team. But in any case, make sure that you do share your plan. Okay, couple of case studies, and then we'll wrap up. So I was called to work with a camp that was losing about $50,000 a year. They didn't have a master plan. They had not met with their membership. This was a member type camp, but they hadn't met with them in years. They hadn't increased rates in years. They weren't collecting even payments for services that they provided. And so I came in to the camp, and the first thing that we did was a lot of interviews and try to figure out, hey, well, like, where are things today? And we created with the board a strategic plan. We ended up putting specific objectives for the year. We sent it out to the members. We started connecting with all those people that were part of the camp in any way. And we started meeting with members, and we ended up providing multiple levels of membership involvement, and we were able to see a 500% increase in member engagement and revenue. We also looked at the camp pricing model and found we were quite a ways under market, and so we made changes there. We implemented a marketing plan and that got us a good 30% increase over the prior year. We were able to do a cash gap analysis, find 50,000 in receivables, 12 months overdue. We were able to put controls in place, work with key clients in order to close the gap. And by the time we were done, the camp was in less than a year. The camp was on track for breaking even. All of the key accounts were paying, within a month. And it was truly a pretty incredible turnaround. Another story is a case study of a distribution center. I was experiencing 30% turnover. There's about 100 employees, and staff morale was low. And what was happening is the best talent was leaving for better positions. And due to rapid growth in order volume and the inability to retain qualified staff, it was just in constant disorder. So what do we do there? Well, first was just creating a vision, because remember when I said, without vision, people perish. Well, boy, this was the case. These guys didn't know, like, why are we here? What are we doing? So we created that. We then put into place a strategic plan with objectives for the year, communicated that to the staff, and then started on that plan. We updated job descriptions, compensation was way off. We were able to close the gap on that. We implemented a performance management system, annual staff survey, so that we could keep fresh and on top of what the staff was actually saying, what they were feeling. And so we saw a huge increase in staff engagement. Turnover dropped to less than 10%. And again, a very remarkable change, all really stemming from what we started with, and that was creating the plan. So remember, what choices will you make? Are you gonna go for this? We're gonna move forward or not? This will make a huge impact on your life if you choose to move forward with implementing your plan for the year. So I put it back to you. Will you make the most of your year? And let's see. Oh, yeah, this is the part where I'm supposed to sell and upsell, cross-sell, and all that sort of jazz. So if we run a webinar, I'd probably do that, but I think we'll just skip that and go to questions. And since you can't really ask me a question, well, actually you could. If you would like to just have a chat with me, see, there's a chatwithdwight.com. That goes directly to my calendar. And if you wanted to just have 30 minutes, I would love to hear about your progress. Tell me about yourself, your plans, your business, your nonprofit, whatever it is you're doing. Be great to connect. I'd love to hear if this was helpful or not. Let's see. There's a few questions that have come up, and I think, you know what? I was gonna answer one of them. How do you know when or what to say yes to? Okay, that's a really good question. And so let me answer it this way. Does the opportunity fit within the plan? Okay, so, I could do such and such. This is, I've got a bolt-on opportunity, and it's only going to be $10,000, and I could potentially generate 100,000 a year. All right, well, does that fit anywhere within your plan? Or was that just out of the blue and need to go to the parking lot? Okay, so does it fit within the plan? Yes or no? If it's yes, fine. If it's no, then probably go into the parking lot. Will it help you move forward, or will it distract you from what you need to be doing? A lot of these things, even if they're good, and even if it's something that you will eventually do, it may be that it's not right now. So The parking lot, great tool, use it. And with that, I am going to go ahead and sign off. I hope this was helpful, and I'd love to connect with you and serve you and or your organization. Have a great day and a wonderful, incredible, successful year. Bye.